Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome, devotees and friends in Dhamma. This is part 2 of my Dhamma sermons about the Mangala Sutta. In the first part, we discussed about prompted the Buddha to recite the Mangala Sutta. In other words, I explained the reason behind having to recite this very important sutta for Buddhists around the world. I also explained during the first desana that the second and third stanzas sets the foundations necessary to travel in the Eightfold Noble Path. You may recall it encourages us to tap into our own inner selves to see and analyze the qualities we have, both good and bad. Then we need to ask, how much of those qualities do we have? This means the amount we have of these qualities based on this honest self-analysis. We have the capability to make changes in ourselves, learn to make wiser choices, choose between right and wrong, being able to differentiate between these two means. You have been able to cultivate the first step in the Eightfold Noble Path, which is known as Sammaditthi. So now, let's analyze stanza 3rd. Let me recite once. Patirupadesa vasocha pumbecha kata punyata anta samma panidhicha etang mangala muttamanti. Stanza 3 contains 3 additional Mangala Karana. If we include the 3 qualities we discussed during the first sermon, the following would be Karana 4, 5 and 6. His 4th piece of advice is to choose to live in a suitable place. Where we live is very important for multiple reasons. Sometimes, as children or as young adults, we don't really have a choice. Your kusal or wholesome deeds or merits from previous lives determine where you are born. Your economic standing and other primary factors in life, our parents, your economic standing and other primary factors in life. Our parents choose to buy in location where they can afford. However, as you mature and ready yourself to the next chapter of your life as adults, you must first study the neighborhood. Is this a place where there is a lot of crime? You have to think about that. Are there good schools for your children to attend? Are there amenities nearby? Is it on a flat plain? Are there mudslides or avalanches, volcanoes, or frequent earthquakes in these areas or in these areas? There are so many factors to consider, and you need to take the time to look into these before you make your choices. There may have some other several reasons to choose location, but I mention here some of them only. In Sri Lanka, for instance, people choose to live near the edge of forest and then complain of disturbances by elephants or other animals. They demonstrate and demand the government to deal with wildlife when it was the people who infringed on the wildlife's territory. So choose wisely, choose carefully, because it is one of the most important decisions of your life. The fourth most important factor is having good karma from your past. Having accumulated meritorious deeds will help us make the right choices and be in the right places at the right time. For example, if you had good merits or right intentions from the past, then you will be born to a family who does live in a nice neighborhood. They could afford to give you a good education, etc. Especially when you do things in this life also. Remember, the first 3 points in the second stanza use wisdom to act with kindness and generosity. If you choose these as the basis of all your actions, then you will go down the correct path. We all bring merits from our previous lives. But the most important thing is that through righteous action in this life, we can overcome some of these challenges. The sixth important quality is choosing to lead a righteous life. This means living a well-directed life that is based on principles of Dhamma or Buddhist teachings. The teachings include the nature of the mind, our environment, body, and principles of natural laws. What are the righteous activities then? You can ask that question. Having identified the root causes of our actions through our own self-reflections, through the study of Dhamma and the association of wise people, we learn to discern what is right and what is wrong. We can. Through meticulous and diligent practice of what we have learned, we choose the right thing to do in our lives. We choose to not harm animals. We choose not to lie and deceive people. And we choose right actions. conscientiously, continuously. We do it. Over time, we develop self-confidence to make wise choices in our lives. That's the number 3 stanza I explained. Patirupadesavasocha Pubbecha Katapunyata Atta Samma Panayita. Choose to lead a right life. Now we will study the 4th stanza. I would like to recite before explaining that. Bahu satchancha sippancha vinayocha susinkito subhasitacha yavacha itang mangala muttamang. The 7th quality is Bahu Satchancha Sippancha. Being resourceful and being multi-talented, being a well-rounded person. For example, being able to learn many languages, being good at any subject in a school or universities, being able to use your brain for any task that is presented to you. Many things to learn through your own surroundings. You should have knowledge for that. You should try to acquire general knowledge about your surroundings and the world around you. Why? Your family, farm, who is around you? How house, town, province, country, the world, the universe, being multi-talented helps you overcome problems with ease, while others struggles because they only have very small and limited number of talents. Sippancha. That is also very important skills in our life, very important qualities in our life. The 8th quality is being skillful, Sippancha, where whatever you have accomplished, you do it very well, completely and perfectly. All your actions are pleasant way in all aspects. Whatever you accomplish is deserving of admiration. For example, children should be taught from a very young age to take responsibility for their own actions. Children should do that, should have that quality. They should be taught to put away things. They should be taught to help their parents with chores. This helps them develop a sense that they need to do things right. Their actions are not limited to their studies. They need to volunteer, learn skills that they are not taught in school. They should be guided to give their fullest effort into these actions. Even today, some adolescents cannot clean their plate, wash their clothes, they cannot. They don't know how to make their own tea. Some parents do everything for their children. It is not real love. It is not real love of parents. This actually hinders their self-reliance and confidence. Parents bear responsibility for such situations. Some parents think that they are being loving parents by doing things to take care of their children. In fact, this has the reverse effect. Some adults without any formal education in certain fields can repair their own furniture, cook, fix watches. They know how to make their own meals. They are really a skillful person. Again, this is not just limited to formal education. Susikito. This is the ninth quality, is self-discipline. This is the ninth quality, is self-discipline. This means having self-control. From an early age, they have been trained to behave with self-restraint and discipline regardless of their surroundings or the conditions that they face. Having the moral fortitude and then being able to apply that morality to stay in the right path. For example, if a friend asks you to do something bad, such as stealing, having morality means you know it is wrong. You possess the knowledge it is wrong. Then you apply self-discipline when you refuse to do the negative act your friend asks you to do. Sometimes it is very difficult to make the right choice. You know that. Because you worry that if you don't drink alcohol with your friends, for example, you will be isolated. You think like that. They will not want to be your friend. You think you lose your friends. But a person with a high sense of morality, knowledge of goodness, will apply self-discipline and say no. No means no. That is the way response for like these occasions. Subhasita Jaya Vacha. This is the number 10. The 10th quality is tactful speech. Tactful speech. Based on previous training, the individual has already become a person well trained to speak. They will not speak unpleasant words that would harm anyone. They know when and how to speak to people. It means choosing the right words so that you will not hurt anyone's feelings in delivering your message. The tone or the force with which you speak is as important as the words you speak. There is a popular phrase that warns us, think before you speak. Abstain from using harsh words or coarse words. In my conclusion, in this part, second part of my Dhamma Desana, in my Dhamma series, we have now analyzed stanza 3 and 4. The first stanza being to introduction and showing why this discourse took place. The second and fourth stanzas contain the actual supreme blessings. If you remember, the second stanza contains three supreme blessings. First, abstain from associating with fools. Second, associate with the wise. Third quality is respect those who deserve respect. In the third stanza, Buddha shares the fourth supreme blessing, which is to choose a good place to live. Fifth one is having good karma from previous lives. And number 6, choosing to live a righteous life. Righteous life. In the fourth stanza contains the seventh supreme blessing, which is being resourceful and being multi-talented. Eighth quality is being skillful, and ninth one is being self-disciplined. 10th, using tactful speech. Using tactful speech is the 10th quality I have mentioned here. If you notice, the second stanza tells us to look inwards, look at ourselves. It advises us to cultivate wisdom from an early age. The third stanza tells us that we must choose to live in a suitable place. Although you are born with previous karma, you must be mindful of that and try to find ways to accumulate more meritorious deeds. Thirdly, we must be determined to engage in righteous life. We have to make choices. We have to make a choice as to whether we live with virtues and morality as the basis for our actions, or do we aim to live for ourselves with a focus on materialistic things without any regard for principles. In the fourth stanza, it teaches or advises us to be resourceful at everything we do, be skillful at everything we do, to apply self-discipline and use tactful speech. When we look at the stanzas, we examine, this is what we can see. When we, as well, it trains us to improve wisdom. The third stanza shifts our attention to the doing. The fourth stanza further guides us in further forming our character, slowly shifting our focus towards sila, morality. As we go along with the examination of the Mangala Sutta, you will realize the message that the Buddha is trying to teach us. He is telling us that we must arrange our lives in a methodical way to attain both mental well-being, while achieving our full potential as successful human beings. One is not at the expense of the other. Carefully planned and contemplated life has a better chance of achieving success and reduced chance for stress and anxiety. If we analyze this in terms of our own lifespans, we could allegorically say that these steps are things we need to master at the first stage of our lives. I have said a couple of times now This is the foundation. These are not things that others can give you. It is a journey that you must undertake with determination and discipline. There is no one to compete with except with your own mind. We will look in our next sermon what are the other advice the Buddha gave us. May you all be realize this valuable Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.